sixth class.
No,
When I'm joining,
this is class 7.
then you send me the class.
Yeah.
Uh,
Have you got the link of the class or not? You will be provided
yes,
with the
I
link
got.
of the class.
When I
Okay.
join the class, I'm
Mhm.
coming to the seventh class.
Okay, this is your first class for 7th.
For seven,
You are in class 7 or 6. Please do tell me.
I am sixth.
Okay, your class will be at 9:30. This is not the time, okay? After 1 hour, join
Okay.
the class. Okay,
Okay.
so guys, we talked about respiration, and you see, our cells have got different functions to perform. Like our cells also obtain nutrition, right? They also have got to do the work of transportation, excretion, and reproduction also. So for all these purposes, our cells require energy, and that energy is provided by what? It will be provided due to the breakdown of glucose, right? So whatever whatever food we are eating now, it majorly consists of different type of carbohydrates. One of the type of carbohydrate is glucose, right? Now, so majorly breakdown of the food happens in the presence of oxygen. It could happen in the absence of oxygen also. Later on we discussed that as well in the previous class, and that releases energy, and the energy that is released is used up to perform these different functions. And further we talked about respiration. So respiration, Chakrika, Sundus and Vaiga, it's simply the breakdown of food in cells of an organism with the release of energy, dioxide, and some amount of water as well. Getting it now?
Yes, sir.
And Vaiga, what was the reason, or what was the main purpose of breathing? How it benefits us? Like the oxygen which we are getting it, what is the role of this oxygen in our body?
Sakshi, I didn't understand because can you like prepare one more time?
Yeah, the question is that yeah, sorry. The question is that the oxygen which we breathe, what is the function of this oxygen in our body? Santos, where is this oxygen used up in our body?
To produce energy.
To produce energy. Basically, you see, in the process of respiration, breakdown of food takes place in the presence of oxygen. All right. It can happen in the absence of oxygen also, but we human beings are able to produce energy in the presence of oxygen only. So this oxygen here helps in the breakdown of food. That is the sole reason why oxygen is required in our body, and that is being provided by the process of breathing. Getting it now, guys? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Then further, Chakrika,
So
we
can you tell one more
discuss.
time why do we need oxygen?
Okay, sure. Look, in breathing, you take in impure air. Our lungs filters out oxygen and carbon dioxide from that air, and the oxygen is being taken to each and every cell with the help of blood. Okay. And in every cell, what happens? The process of respiration takes place. And simply the process of respiration is the breakdown of food in cells of an organism with the release of energy and carbon dioxide and water. Right now. So the sole
So for
purpose. Mhm.
so for respiration we need glucose, carbon dioxide, and oxygen.
Look, for respiration now, respiration is simply the breakdown of the food. It's breakdown.
Okay.
Why we say only glucose is because majority of the food that we consume different types of food like rice, potato, or different types of food. They are rich in carbohydrate, although they might consist some amount of minerals, vitamins, other things also, some amount of salts also. But the major component found in our food is of carbohydrates, and carbohydrate is also of different types. It is what? It could be glucose, it could be fructose, it could be saccharose. Right now, That's why we say the breakdown of food or breakdown of glucose. It's not like the breakdown of glucose only takes place. The breakdown of mineral and vitamins also takes place in our cells. Okay.
Okay.
So, so what you need? You need oxygen to break down the glucose. You don't need carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide is na Sundus, Weiger, and Chakrika. These are the byproducts of the process of respiration. Right now, so food plus oxygen is equal to carbon dioxide plus water plus energy also. Weiger, you tell me what was the unit? What was the unit of energy that was being produced? Yeah, is Weiger here?
Yeah, yes, sir. Like what is the question?
Yeah, my question is that energy in our body is stored in what form? In which form it is stored? Energy is stored as, I told you guys earlier that energy that is produced in our body, it is stored as ATP molecules. Okay,
Yes, I forgot.
no issue. So Chakrika, one of the interesting things we got to know in our previous class, right? In the process of respiration, what happens? Energy is released and it is stored in the form of Sundus. If you know, it is stored in the form of ATP molecules. So ATP molecules is basically the source of energy and it is stored in cell. Just like how you store different food items in your fridge, in your refrigerators, in the same manner, our cells stores energy in the form of ATP molecules. Is that clear?
Yes.
Although this is a bit extra, you don't have to study about this in depth. And we talked about Sundus, the types of respiration. It could be aerobic and it could be anaerobic respiration. Okay. Sundus, you tell me the difference between the aerobic respiration and anaerobic respiration.
Like in anaerobic respiration, like the broken down of food is partially completed, and
Exactly.
then it produces alcohol,
Hmm. Good.
carbon dioxide, and water,
Hmm.
and a little bit of energy.
Hmm.
And it has 5 ATP molecules,
Very good.
and um,
And Vaika, what about the aerobic respirations?
Like it occurs in all living organisms.
Not all living
Uh,
organisms. Not all living
like
organisms.
some of the living organisms,
Hmm.
and oxygen is required for it.
Exactly.
It produces a considerable amount of energy.
Right. As you can see, 38 ATP of molecules.
Yes, sir.
Hmm. And the
And
glucose was. Hmm.
and complete oxidation of food occurs during the process.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So complete oxidation happens. So that leads to completely breakdown of the glucose. So more energy is released right now. So
Yes,
Chakrika,
sir.
have you got the difference between the two? One is in the presence of oxygen. One is in the absence of oxygen. Okay. So where will this anaerobic respiration, basically the respiration in the absence of oxygen will occur? It will occur in several microorganisms. Can you name one of the organism? One common organism where anaerobic respiration occurs?
So maybe fungus.
Fungus. What other examples? Can you go some more examples?
Algae.
Algae. No, algae is not the
Algae is like a
example.
living organism, right?
No, you have an example of, look, you have example of yeast. You have example of several protozoans right now. These are some of the examples. Okay. Okay. Okay then. So we basically had concluded the two. Furthermore, Sundus in anaerobic respiration, as you said, alcohol was being produced, okay, and carbon dioxide was also being released along with some amount of energy. Now, as I said, like anaerobic respiration can occur in muscle cells of humans and other organisms also. So if a person is like running and doing heavy exercise, he suffers from breathlessness. So breathlessness will lead to less intake of oxygen, right now. So in these conditions, what will happen? Anaerobic respiration will take place inside the muscle cells. So in that, what happens? Lactic acid is being produced, and energy is also given. So that's why you see many people develops muscular cramps while they are doing some heavy exercise. Okay, so how can one get relief from muscular cramps? By taking a hot bath or by massaging that area, so that the lactic acid will be converted into carbon dioxide and water then. So up till here we discussed in our previous class. Getting it?
Yes.
And we also talked about breathing. So breathing involves two steps. One is the inhalation and another one is the exhalation, right? And the normal breathing rate is 15 to 20 times in a minute, while in the younger people the breathing rate is more, because they require more amount of energy for the purpose of growth and repair of cells and for the division of cells. Like the baby, the heartbeat of the baby is much more, right? Or the breathing rate of baby is also much more. Getting it now? And as the age increases, the rate of breathing reduces, right? Okay, Chakrika, can you name like which organs are part of the respiratory system? Which organs are involved in respiration?
The lungs,
Lungs, good.
esophagus.
Esophagus is not food pipe. It has got nothing to do with
Sorry, sir.
respiration.
No, not the esophagus. Lungs, and I don't
Okay,
know
here
how
in
to
the
correctly
diagram,
spell it, but then I know it's spelling, so
look here. It's
it's in,
lungs. Then this is the trachea. Then this
yeah,
region
okay.
is pharynx. Okay, and then you have bronchioles, and then the end portion of this bronchioles, like that looks like this, bulb-like structures. All
Okay,
right.
sir.
So that is called alveoli. These are the organs involved in the respiratory system. Okay. Now let's continue our discussion further. Right now, let's talk about like how the mechanism of breathing happens. Mechanism of breathing. Like you see, normally the air that we take in our lungs, it is taken by our nostrils, right now. So whenever you take in air via your nostril, it passes where? It will pass into what? It will pass into the nasal cavity, right now.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and from the nasal cavity, it will pass where? It will leave. It will pass to the lungs via the windpipe. No,
Trachea, right?
yeah, via the trachea. Okay. Now lungs, you see, it is present in which portion of our body? In which cavity? Lungs are present in which cavity? In the chest cavity, right?
Yes, sir.
Getting it now? It is present in the chest cavity. So here you see it is present in the chest cavity region of the person's body, somewhat like this. Now, further you see our lungs acts as a back of sac. Lungs are present in the chest cavity, and which bone is protecting our lungs? Our lungs are protected by which bones? By the rib cage,
Ribs.
no, obviously.
Ribs.
Right now, which is protected by ribs. Okay. Have you guys tried to count the number of ribs? Like how many pair of ribs are there in our body?
Yes,
Mm-hmm.
sir. There are like 12.
12 pairs.
I exactly don't remember, but I think it's
Yes.
each side. I think it's 12, sir,
Each one.
or 6.
Yeah. Look, if you were to look at the ribs of human body now, it actually consists of 12 pairs, as you mentioned earlier. It somewhat looks like this. And it is joined to the spine all the way back. So it looks somewhat like this. Okay, so like this, there are 12 bones on each side. So that means rib cage consists of 12 pairs of bones, right? Okay, then.
Yes, sir.
Okay, now beneath our lungs, you see there is a very muscular tissue which is called as diaphragm. Just beneath our lungs, there is a very flat sheet of muscles that is called as diaphragm. Okay, so diaphragm basically forms what? Like it now forms the floor of the chest. It's like the floor of the chest on which the lungs are resting. You can understand it like this. Getting it now?
Yes, sir.
Okay. No, so normally when you take in air, what happens? Your lungs are going to inflate. Yes. So you guys tell me, this diaphragm, it's not like suspended. It's not very rigid. So if you were to inhale the air, so what will happen to the lungs? The lungs
It
will.
moves.
Mhm.
Uh, no, like the diaphragm will move down, right?
The diaphragm will
Move
move
down.
downwards.
It go down, sir.
Hmm. Look here. So what happens in the process of inhalation? You take basically oxygen rich air. Okay, and in this process, what happens? The lungs, if the normal size of the lungs is like this, it will start to inflate like this, right? So the diaphragm will move what? Will it move upward or will it move downwards?
So it will move downwards.
Moves down.
It will move downwards. Why is it so?
So when we inhale the air, the diaphragm goes down, and then when we exhale, it goes up.
It goes up because there's a concept of pressure here. Hmm? Look, in the process of respiration, you see there would be contraction of muscles, right? That are
Yes.
attached to the ribs on the outer side. Hmm? And you see, if I were to draw like little bit ribs like this, let's assume that these are the bones of ribs. Okay. I don't have the diagram actually. Just now I got to know that today you guys have got class. Okay, otherwise I would have got the diagrams. It would have been much more convenient. Anyways, so look here what happens in the process of respiration. There would be a contraction of muscles which are attached to the ribs. There must be some muscles that are attached to the ribs. Okay, so they will start to contract, okay, on the outer side, which pulls out the ribs, and it will result in the expansion of the chest cavity, right? So if the chest cavity is expanding, what will happen? The diaphragm will contract and move downwards. The diaphragm will move downward. So let me write it over here. During inhalation, the chest cavity expands and diaphragm moves downward. Okay, And also you will see the abdominal muscles will also contract. Just try to take a deep breath. You will observe that the chest cavity expands. The diaphragm, you won't feel like it moves downward. Also, you will see now the muscles in the stomach region, the abdominal region. You know what is abdominal region? The region between the diaphragm, just below the diaphragm. If this is the lungs, okay, this region that consists of intestines, stomachs, that is called as abdominal region. So if you were to inhale and the chest cavity expands, then you will be observing that the stomach muscles, it contracts. Getting it now? Now, in the process of expansion, what happens when the chest cavity expands? It will like produce some kind of vacuum in the air, vacuum in the lungs, right? So here in the process of expansion, a kind of vacuum is created inside the lungs that will lead to what? Sucking up the air from the outside. Getting it what I'm trying to say? So here in the process of expansion, a kind of vacuum is being created in the lungs. And if there is being vacuum here, it means there is a low pressure here, and the outside of our body is having a more pressure. So there will be the flow of air from outside to the inside of the lungs here. Are you guys getting it?
So
Yes.
can you just explain one more time?
Yeah, sure. Look what happens. Let me write it over here. The, the expansion of the chest cavity produces a partial vacuum. Okay, so here this is our lungs, let's suppose. Okay, when it expands, there will be a vacuum created inside our lungs, right? So guys, if there's a vacuum created in our lungs, will the air from the outside not move in the process of breathing?
So can you repeat the question again?
Yeah, my point is that when our chest cavity expands, when the lungs expand, so what happens during the expansion of the lungs? We create a partial vacuum inside our lungs. So when there is a vacuum created, partial vacuum, not 100% vacuum. Okay, it means what? There is lesser amount of air inside our lungs. That means lower pressure is there. Remember we talked about the concept of wind storms, like how the flow of air takes place from higher pressure to lower pressure region. Same concept is being applied here also. Due to the partial vacuum, lower pressure is being generated inside our lungs, and hence in that manner, in the process of inhalation, air rushes to the lungs. Yeah, Sundus, Vaiga, Chakrika, is that clear?
Yes, so now it's clear.
Yes.
Yeah, so which sucks up air into the lungs. And where will the diaphragm move? Obviously, it will move downward since the lungs has expanded. Hearing it now? Okay. Now, what about the process of like the second process? That was the expiration process. In that, what do you guys think? What will happen? Will the diaphragm move downward or will it move upward?
In
It will
exhalation,
move upward.
it moves up.
It will move upward. Very good. Right. So say this is the lungs here and this is expanded lungs. Okay, and the diaphragm has moved like this downward. And while it constricts itself, then obviously the diaphragm will move upward, right? So that, can you guys explain me the what is happening here in terms of the pressure here?
Can you repeat the point?
Yeah, the thing which I said here, that here you have this expanded lungs basically shows that you have inhaled air, right? You have inhaled air, and it lead to what? When the chest expanded, basically there was a partial vacuum created here. when the chest was expanded, the lungs were expanded, there was a partial vacuum created here, due to which the air entered into our lungs because there was low pressure in this region. Now, when in the process of expiration, when you are releasing air outside, when you are releasing air outside, what happens? The abdomen region, it is relaxed. Like just try to feel it, like try to exhale air. You will see that your abdomen region, your stomach region is relaxed. Now there's no pressure on that region right now. So in this case, what is happening? If you were to look at the volume of this chest, this lungs and this lungs, which one is more? Which one is lesser here? Second one, no? The volume is lesser here. The volume has decreased here. So if the volume has been decreased here, so won't the pressure increase? Won't the pressure of the lungs increase? Like,
Sir, I think we'll have low pressure for the second one, sir. And for the first one, I think we'll have the high pressure.
no, you will be having a increased pressure in the second one. Just assume, no, like you have got a sponge here. Just think that it is a sponge. Second one, this is a sponge, and this sponge has soaken up some water right now. And if you were to press it using your hand, all the water comes out of this sponge. Why? Because you have increased the pressure. That's why the water has come out of this sponge here. Getting it what I'm trying to say?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Now I get it.
In the same manner, air will be expelled out. It will be expelled out from this lungs, which has basically reduced its size right now. So here the pressure is higher, and in the outside as compared to the lungs, the pressure is lower. So the movement of air will be from the lungs to the outside. Is that clear to you guys also, Sundus and Vaiga?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir, it's
Right.
clear.
Okay, so that is how the mechanism of expiration happens. Mechanism of, and do you guys have you guys been making notes of the class or not? And you guys also tell me which gas will be released in the process of expiration.
Carbon dioxide.
Obviously. So you will see that the process of exhaling carbon dioxide is called expiration. All right. Okay. Now you see there's a thing called here, like in order to inhale air, you have to apply force, no? Like if you're taking air inside, you have to apply little bit of effort. While in order to release the carbon dioxide out of our lungs, you see, you don't have to put in more amount of energy. Like if you were to move upwards the stair, right now, if you were to climb the stairs, you need more energy. While if you're coming downwards from the stair, you need lesser energy. In the same manner, in the case of inhalation, you have to apply pressure to take in air. While in the process of expiration, you don't have to apply much amount of pressure. Getting it what I'm trying to say? Why? Because in our lungs, guys, the pressure is low right now. So you have to apply pressure to take air from outside into our lungs. While in the second case, in the case of expiration, there's already high pressure. So you don't need to apply more amount of energy to move this air to the outside region. Getting it what I'm trying to say? Or shall I repeat this one more time? I think I should repeat this one.
Yes, sir. Can you repeat it one more time?
Yeah, look here. In the case of expiration, you know, the law of the nature says that there will be a movement of molecules from high pressure to low pressure region. Yeah. There will
Yes,
be a
sir.
movement right now.
Yes, sir.
So if this happens, do we need to apply some energy? Do you need to put extra effort in it? No. Like you see, no, let's say this is a bottle. The two bottles are here, let's say, suppose. Okay. And both of them joined here. make holes in the bottom of the two bottles and join them. In the first bottle, you fill it up here, you fill it up to this level. Obviously the flow of water will be from this to this. Why? Because there's a high pressure in this region. Now, if you were to apply the same analogy in the case of lungs also, here there's a high pressure now develop inside the lungs. Why? Because the volume is lesser. Lesser volume means more pressure here. Just like I gave you the example of this sponge here, like if you were to compress it, the water comes out of it. So in the same manner, guys, here, there will be autonomous movement of carbon dioxide from the lungs to the outer environment. Try to exhale the air. Try to do this exercise right now in the class. Try to inhale air. Yeah, did you guys did that? Try to take a deep breath and then try to release your breath. In which step in which mechanism you required more energy? Was it in the inhalation or was it in the expiration?
Inhalation, sir.
Inhalation, obviously. While in the case of expiration, we required lesser amount of energy. So we say that it is a passive process. Now you will say, what is this passive process now? Simply, it's a process in which less amount of energy is required. As simple as that. Okay.
Okay, sir.
That is clear. Good. Now what happens? Diaphragm moves where? Left or right? Or up or down?
Like it moves up.
Sir, so we need lesser energy
You need lesser energy, right?
for the passive
For the
process.
passive process, right? For the passive process. So diaphragm moves upward.
Word.
Okay. Since it is relaxed. Right now? Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
here the diaphragm is relaxed and lungs are getting compressed. Right now, that's why the air comes out of the lungs, basically carbon dioxide. Okay. And you will see the pressure inside the lungs are increased. Okay. Hence, CO2 moves outside. Okay. Is that clear now?
Yes, sir. It's clear.
Okay. Now, one more question. Like when you have taken the air, and you're releasing the carbon dioxide, where does the exchange of all these gases actually occurs? Yeah,
On the lungs,
it obviously
like
occurs in the lungs.
like alveoli, right?
Alveoli, exactly. So further you will see now the gaseous exchange, if we were to discuss this one as well. Alveoli is the which portion of the respiratory system? Is it the last portion, last organ, or the first organ?
It's the last organ, like end of the
It's
bronchus.
exactly, it's the last organ, right now. And you see, it is not rich in blood capillaries. The alveoli are surrounded by blood capillaries. You guys know what is blood capillaries? Just like you have got veins, nerves. Yeah. In the same manner, you have got capillaries also. The thing is, now capillary is thinner than veins and nerves. All right. Okay. Now, I'm just drawing one section of the lungs here. If you were to see the actual human lungs, it looks very beautiful. Like it's almost like the branches of the tree are spread inside it. Okay. Now, this portion here, which you are seeing, this actually is alveoli. And alveoli, somewhat it looks like this. Okay, and it is rich in blood capillaries. This is actually blood capillaries. Okay. Now,
Okay.
when you have taken in air, so you are taking both CO2 and you are taking in both oxygen, apart from other gases also, right now. So look, there will be the gaseous exchange happening here. As you already know, the mechanism of respiration, involves the breathing mechanism and exchange of gases also. What did I just say? The process of respiration, it involves breathing and it involves exchange of gases also. And exchange of gases occurs at the where? At the alveoli. Okay, getting it now? So
Yes,
at the
sir.
alveoli, what will happen? The blood capillaries will be taking in what? It will be taking in oxygen from the air which we have inhaled, and these blood capillaries will be carrying that oxygen to different parts of our body. By parts, I basically refer to the different cells, right? And you see, by what process the oxygen is entering into the blood capillaries? Have you guys ever thought of this? Like this
What, sir?
oxygen, it will enter into the blood capillary by which process? It will not occur, it will not move into the blood capillaries by the process of diffusion. Now you will say, now what is this term now? Diffusion. Look, if you were to place a incense stick in the corner of your room, does it not reach you after a while, the smell of the incense stick? Or even if you were to place an incense stick, burn an incense stick on the second on a different room, the smell will eventually reach you. Why does that happen? Because the molecules of the gaseous molecules of the of this incense stick, it diffuses into the air, into the whole room, right now. So what happened? Are you guys able to relate it or not, or is it being a bit too extra?
So I get it.
Get it? What about other guys?
Sir, it's easy.
Right now, so the place where you have burned the incense stick, what happens here? The pressure is high because you have just burned the incense stick. It has started to burn and release the gaseous molecules in the air, so there's a more amount of incense sticks gas molecules here, and slowly it will move and it will spread to different part of the room. So here there was a high pressure, here there was a low pressure. Right now, in the same manner, guys, in the same manner, suppose I take out any blood capillary from here. Suppose this is a blood capillary, okay, in which blood is moving, and I say that this blood consists lesser amount of oxygen. Let's say only two molecules of oxygen, while the air that is just passing to it, or that has just come in contact with the alveoli, it has got more amount of oxygen molecules. So here this is a high pressure of oxygen molecules now, just outside the alveoli.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So eventually it will move inside this blood capillaries. Getting it now, guys? Sundus, Chakrika, and Vaiga. So this process of movement of molecules from high pressure region to the low pressure region is called as diffusion. It could be in context of anything, right now. So
So what
gases exchange.
exactly is like the blood capillaries?
Blood capillaries, exactly what it is. Look, you
Like,
have got veins now. You have got different types of nerves in our body. One will carry the oxygenated blood. One will carry the blood which is rich in what do you say, carbon dioxide, and one is the type of nerve which is very thin, which is called blood capillaries.
okay, so what does then alveoli mean?
Yes.
Like what in the lungs, in the diagram which you have
Mhm.
drawn, what exactly in that is alveoli?
Will you please repeat the term?
Alveoli.
Will you please
So
repeat
let's
the
just ask,
last term?
like, what is alveoli?
Alveoli. Okay, alveoli actually, look now, in the diagram here, if you can see, yeah, look, this is your nostril here. Okay, and nostril further continues as trachea, that is the windpipe. Then it further divides into each of your lungs as bronchioles. This portion here you see, this is bronchioles. This is bronchioles here, and this bronchioles further branches up and it divides into different alveoli. So many alveoli right now. So if you were to see this bulb-like structure that you see here, it is actually the end point of the bronchioles, and this alveoli actually looks like this bulb-like structures.
Okay,
Okay,
sir.
and it is rich in blood capillaries. Rich in blood capillaries means it is surrounded by blood capillaries. Getting it now?
Yes, sir.
Like alveoli is having a shape of popcorn, right?
Yeah, you can understand it like this, right? And not a very fixed shape, but looks like a popcorn, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah. So here what will happen? By the process of diffusion, there will be movement of air. So diffusion actually depends on pressure difference, right now. So here the air pressure was more, that is, it is having more molecules of oxygen. Here it is having lesser molecules of oxygen. So due to the pressure difference, there's a movement of molecules. Getting it now? Hope that is clear.
Yes, I got it.
So can you
Okay.
explain once again?
Yeah, sure. Diffusion, it's a process where the movement of molecules takes place from a region of high pressure to the region of low pressure. Just as you were burning an incense stick in the corner of your room, so you will be seeing that eventually the gaseous molecules of the incense stick will spread to different parts of the room. You will be able to smell it. Why? Because the area where it was burned, it was having high pressure because more molecules of gases were there. Right now, so it will start to spread. So in the same manner here, you see the movement of oxygen into the blood capillaries takes place by the process of diffusion. Why? Because just outside the alveoli, the air outside the alveoli, it is rich in oxygen. It is having more oxygen, while the blood capillary is having lesser amount of oxygen. Yeah, Chakrika. So obviously, as per the law of diffusion, the oxygen will start to move inside the blood capillaries. Is that clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so what did you got from it? Like how the movement is taking place? Explain to me.
So in the process of diffusion, the oxygen goes into the blood capillaries.
Mm.
Yes, sir.
So why is it actually happening? Because of difference in what?
The pressure, sir.
Pressure difference, right now.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so that is the thing, right? So to conclude the two steps of breathing, who will conclude this? Sundus, define inhalation and what happens in inhalation. Quickly define this.
What?
Define the process of breathing. Simply define the process of the first process of breathing, that is inhalation, in few points. The first point, as I said, muscles between the ribs, it will start to contract.
So, like, can I explain?
Yeah, sure, you can explain it.
Like during inhaling, the muscles contract, the ribs are pushed upward and downward,
Mm-hmm.
and the diaphragm moves down
Yeah,
because
good.
the lungs like expands.
It expands.
Yeah, so this much only.
Exactly. So this is basically what happens. Okay, the muscles between the rib contracts, as you said, and it causes the rib cage to move upwards, right? Okay, and talking about the diaphragm, this diaphragm just beneath the lungs, it will start to move downward here, right? And what about the pressure here? Was a partial pressure created here or not? Partial pressure was created here. So that means low pressure was created here, right?
Science की class.
Yes. Yeah, someone was saying something. Okay, so in the process of inhalation, you said we just saw that muscles between the ribs, it contracts. Okay, so if it contracts, it will cause rib to move upward. Rib will move upward. Getting it? And what about the diaphragm, Chakrika? What do you think? Diaphragm will move where?
it will move downwards, sir.
Move downwards. Very good. So remember these points here. And the most important point is regarding the pressure. So pressure inside the lungs is what?
High
Is it
pressure.
reduced? It is reduced. That's why the flow of air will be inside the lungs, because the outside pressure is more. Okay. And
Oh,
just the opposite. Mhm.
so, sir, when we inhale oxygen, the pressure is low.
Hmm. Actually, in the process of inhalation, what we do, the muscles between the ribs, it starts to contract and it lifts the rib upwards, right now, and that leads to expansion. When the rib move upwards, lungs will not expand, right now.
Okay, sir.
So before inhalation, you need to remember all this process starts before inhalation. Before inhalation, the rib moves upwards. Why? Because the muscles between the ribs have contracted. So it lifts the rib upwards and the diaphragm is moving downwards. So if the diaphragm was earlier here, now it is here. So it means the lungs will have more space to expand into, right now. So if
Yes,
the
sir.
space is more, just like you were seeing this, no, like if you were to put some molecules in this much of a space and now it has got this much of a space. So obviously the pressure is lower here. Here it was having a more pressure because it
Yes,
was
sir.
constructed in a small space. So that is a simple
So,
the concept. Mhm.
so, but then when we inhale oxygen, like we put more pressure, right, to inhale the air.
We put in more pressure. Exactly. That's why you see now it's an active process. Okay. You need to put in more pressure. While in the process of exhalation, the
No
law of the
pressure.
nature works. Right now, it's a passive
So,
process.
but then you wrote reduced.
What is reduced?
Below lungs, you wrote reduced.
Look here, as I said, the pressure is lowered here. Okay, understand it simply like this. This is, let's say, lungs here. The pressure is lowered down, and you need to do the opposite word. Now you need to take air from a region of higher pressure to the lower pressure region. So you need to put some energy. Getting it now?
Yes,
Because
sir.
you are applying energy to take in air from a region of high pressure to lower pressure, while just the opposite happens in the case of expiration. Is that clear?
Okay, sir. Yes, sir. Now I get it.
Okay. Now you see, in the next class, we'll be talking about the process of sneezing. Why humans sneeze? You see, normally the air that we breathe, now it contains of lots of impurities. Like it could be anything ranging from a dust particle, like or smoke particles, or some microbes, or insects, or pollen grains. Okay, so that leads to allergy, right? So that allergy automatically triggers the inner lining of the nostrils, right? So during inhalation, many times what happens? The different unwanted particles are getting trapped in the air which is present inside our nose, right? So it actually leads to what? When they get trapped, it leads to irritation. Okay, irritation where? In the inner lining of the nasal passage. Okay. Okay, so due to
Yes.
which you basically sneeze, right? And it is said that sneeze is having so much of pressure that if someone were to try to sneeze by closing his or her nose, the nerves in the brain might explode. It might rupture. Getting it now? So that's
Yes, sir.
why it is recommended
Yes, sir.
never to close your nose forcefully while you are sneezing. Getting it now? Many
Okay, sir.
times this accident has happened to many of the people. Okay. Okay, so in the next class we will try to conclude the chapter along with the exercises, and also we will get to know like how the process of breathing happens in other animals. For example, you have different animals, different insects, for example cockroaches. For example, you have a amphibian named frog, you have earthworms. So different animals will be using different organs for the process of breathing.
Respirate.
right? You guys at least remember 3 names of organisms that have got more than one organs to breathe. That can